Predators. Predators, every single one of us has to deal with predators. It just varies from place to place. Now, you know, like another thing you need to remember, like when you do turkeys, the bigger our turkeys get, coons, you know, the smaller animals don't take out larger turkeys. The worst for our turkeys when they start getting big is coyotes and lovely neighbors' dogs. You know, Rocco's neighbor over here the other day, or it was yesterday, she said, oh, it's funny, she said this hawk came down toward a couple of turkeys, and then it just took off. I think when he gets down there, goes, whoa, that's a little big for me. I don't know if I can pick that up, you know. Now chickens, you know, and sometimes colored chickens do better in pasture. So you do white birds, those are great targets. All right, so dealing with predators is true for all of us. Okay, so questions about facilities. That's about as much as I cover on facility, because you got this whole section of notes of stuff on facilities. You can look at that book that's passed around there and kind of.
That's kind of a stupid question, but it has really been bothering me. What do you think chickens like to roost on beds? Something like a flat surface, or do they like a bar? And I've seen sort of oval things. What do you think is most comfortable?
Well, here's the thing: is you know, I think of a chicken or a turkey on a branch.
Yeah.
Now a branch is round, but it's rough.
Uh-huh.
So a round pole or a wood pole or a dowel, we call them. All right, that's slippery.
It's slippery, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if you can rough it up or just see how the bird responds to that. But a 2x4 up on its side, or even a 2x2, great for them.
And they're comfortable in that.
Yeah. Or scaffolding.
I have read that in the winter, sometimes, for some places, they actually turn the 2x4 flat, so that then they actually sit on their feet, they're less likely to have any issues with. But I didn't think that was a problem with our birds.
Yeah, and I'd say it wouldn't be a problem here, but that's
Yeah.
good. That is good advice where they're covering their
Yeah,
feet
they're
up.
sitting on their feet.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard issues with roosting on metal. You know, one thing I was always taught is you never let the birds roost on metal. And the scaffolding seems like such a cool utilitarian idea, but how would you deal with that in sub-freezing temperature if you had, you know, 100 turkeys out there on the acre and frozen metal?
Froze to the scaffold.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, like frozen to the scaffold.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I'd watch that. It's great. It's great observation.
Yeah.
I will throw it out to the crowd, particularly ones that are doing open pasture grazing birds right now. How are you guys fighting the hawks?
We have,
Rocco!
I've noticed a big difference with
That is.
when you have sheep or larger mammals around.
Well, I've heard llamas that do great, but I'm not gonna go out and buy llamas.
we have our chickens in with goats, and we had 51 delivered in July. We haven't had a single loss. And there are 2 hawks that hang out at our farm and just wait for a chicken dinner and haven't taken any of ours.
We have done a scarecrow too, and that works pretty well. We just move it around with the birds during the day.
Well, being a construction guy, I walked into this Buckeye breeder guy up in near Raleigh, and I walked out and he had this big tall pole. I'd say it's maybe as tall as the peak of this barn, and he had caution tape, like it went up to a tent. I'm like, what are you? It looked like a circus. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's a police officer. He's got all this caution tape, and he's got to come in and he fix this long problem. It's kind of ugly, but I think, you know, another thing that Dr. Taft, a guy in Winston-Salem, the LBC, he had the donkeys. He had his coop, electric netting, and then a regular secure fence all the way around. And between the secure fence and his electric netting is where he had donkeys. So he had like fence, donkeys, electric fence, coop. There was nothing getting in there. And I think you just really gotta think creatively. Any others? What are you guys doing?
Like you said, we had 2 hawks, and we bought this little mini donkey, and I'm telling you, within days, those hawks disappeared. That donkey, we allow the donkey just to walk around the yard wherever he wants to go. She stays around, and within days, these 2 hawks used to land the same tree every day, and our chickens down in the barn. I wouldn't allow them to come. As soon as we got that donkey, we started to train that donkey donkeys stay around, some two hawks disappear. And I haven't seen it in probably 3 weeks now. But that donkey, I see, she doesn't bother when she just wanders around, but those two hawks, I don't know part of that.
I'll chase mine 2 or 3 miles at a time, all through Tony County, so.
Do you know if the donkey helps at all with night? We have a problem with owls. And so, would it help at night too, you think?
Well, we were told by the lady who bought our donkey, when she raised them for the mini donkey, she said that once you bring them home and they get used to the animals, that she said that they will protect every animal on your farm because they know that that's part of their family. Now, the only thing we had a problem with was one of our dogs. He decided he wanted to play with the donkey, and of course, the donkey said, me and you were gonna battle, and my lad got kicked one day, because he battled with the donkey, he lost. Now he doesn't bother the donkey. But that donkey will defend, that donkey will even defend the dog, as she said. She said, actually, if it comes down to it, that donkey will attack. Once he knows that that's his family, she said, donkeys are unbelievable. And we witnessed it for the hospital.
I've got some of those little sober red lights that come on at night on the outside of my chicken house. And we've had a lot of problems with foxes, coyotes, possums. We've been overrun with skunks lately. And that flashing red light, supposedly the predators think there's a bigger predator already there.
Actually,
They seem to help a lot.
yeah, there's a couple guys that I know are using them. There wasn't enough for all of you. I've had some extras and you can kind of share them, but this is a great resource. And that red-eyed little machine is in here somewhere. But just FYI, in this section on facilities, it's just a great resource. And if you end up not getting one of these, Premier One, you go to the website, there's some really good.
All of them, they're awesome.
Or call them.
They
Yeah, right down
figure it all out.
the phone number. Is that helpful, Bob? Or-
Yeah.
Okay.
Give you some ideas.
Unfortunately, we never say, here's what you do and it'll fix it, and it just varies from place to
We
place.
put the netting up, and that's helped some. We've actually had the hawk hit the netting and bounce off, and then hit the netting and bounce off, and it was like he was on the trampoline. And it was 3 times before I found out that it was.
That's great.
Actually, that netting, when we found out that if we do it all the way around the rectangle or one circle, that if you intertwine chickens or fold it inside, they don't want how to go in. And design, so it's got curves within it, and you know, like angles, but that's like.
Right. Good, okay, let's continue filling. So let's talk a little bit about feed. Now let me tell you about this whole feed situation, all right? We're at a point for the Carolina and Heritage Poultry Coalition, as well as nationally, we don't tell a farmer what he feeds. It's in his court, or in her court, or in their court, okay? And so in North Carolina, we have farmers that are doing certified organic feed. We have farmers that are mixing their own feed. We have farmers that are feeding Purina. We have farmers who are feeding Bartlett. They have their own recipes. There's farmers that are doing no soy and no non-GMO, okay? Just kind of across the board, varies from place to place, farm to farm, so forth and so on. And so, and whatever your preference is, you got to kind of wrestle through that as far as you might say, well, I'm going after the marketing niche of organic or non-GMO or no soy. If you are not familiar with the Weston Price Foundation, I would encourage you to take a look at their website, learn a little bit about the Weston Price Foundation. Basically, what Weston Price did, I forget, back in the 30s or the 40s, and if anybody connected to Weston Price at all? Okay. Because I thought maybe you know more better than I do. But basically, Weston Price studied different cultures and people groups around the world and took an inventory of what they ate and how it affected their growth, how it affected their dental, their teeth, their bone structure, and so forth and so on. And the Weston Price movement basically says going back and eating some of the old foods, obviously non-GMO kinds of things, as well as he discovered that the processed soy, I think, is the old soy okay on some of the health issues, or are you? Yeah. So, and to be honest with you, I'm a live production kind of expert. I'm on this whole learning curve on the culinary side, and spending time with chefs, and learning from nutritionists, and what's going on. Oh, I forgot. There is this brochure on your table about the Weston Price Foundation and just some things about soy. So, I think there's plenty of those, and I have some extras. Oh, really? Yeah, let's see. So that's feed, but let me give you a couple things to think about. Feed. Begin by asking, what would chickens and turkeys eat if they were on their own in the wild? 3 food groups there, right in the blanks. 3 food groups. Green plants, seeds and fruits, and animal foods, like insects, worms, slugs, snails, and even small rodents. You guys ever seen a flock of chickens get a hold of a mouse?
We actually put out a bait bag of feed that went moldy, and we can capture the mice in the bag, and we give the mice to the chickens.
Yeah.
And then it was awful, but they love it.
Oh, that's great.
It's, well, I mean,
Like watching football.
it is, I mean, it's the best chicken.
Or rugby.
Little kid soccer game.
Oh.
And I love, I love Harvey Ustery. This is a book I can't remember if he mentioned it in a workshop. He says, what do these 3 have in common? They are alive and they're raw. Bottom of the page there. They're alive and they're raw. And now, so you can be thinking about that with feed. Turn the page. Just if you decide you're going to do your own nutrients for poultry, I just listed these as their chief function. I'm not going to spend too much on time on this. I'll let you do some of your own homework on the feed. So number 1 is water, digestion, carrier of foods and waste products. Number 2, carbohydrates for heat, energy, fat production. And I tried to give you just some ideas here. Primarily is cereal grains, corn, wheat, oats, barley, and rye. Number 3, they need fats for reserve supply of heat and energy. Number 4, proteins. That's kind of self-explanatory, but there's some suggestions there. Milk, meat scraps, fish meal, soybean meal, cottonseed meal, linseed meal. Number 5, minerals for their skeletal formation, egg production, and regulation of body neutrality, bone meal, limestone, oyster shell, salt, kelp. We used to feed that to turkeys. Number 6, vitamin A for growth. For vitamins, you got green grass, alfalfa meal, silage, fish oils, liver meal, and yeast. Number 7, the B1 for appetite, digestion, health of nerve, and prevention. Probably new. I can't remember if I say that. Number 8, vitamin D, mineral simulation. Number 9, vitamin E, got health of the reproductive organs, fertility, and hatchability. Might want to make a note of that. Make sure if you're in the breeding side, make sure they have plenty of vitamin E. Vitamin E. E is an echo. Sorry about that. So those are just, I wanted to kind of just give you that list. So thoughts and reminders, turn the page. Remember, free ranging is absolutely best for all poultry. The less we do for them, the more they do for themselves. Think about that. Okay? You will confirm if your birds are getting enough to eat by feeling their crops. So a lot of times people are like, hey, am I feeding my chickens enough? Are they getting enough to eat? Okay? Pick them up, feel their crops after they have gone to roost. If their crops are full, they're getting plenty of food. Okay? You got empty crops every night, you might have too many birds and too small of a space, or not giving enough feed. Okay? You also remember this. Okay, it's true with heritage turkeys, true with heritage chickens. Okay, Cornish cross. Well, Steve, when do they stop eating?
They never stop eating.
They never stop eating.
No, they don't eat at night.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, a Delaware, a Buckeye, an Oscar, they eat and go, my body's telling me to stop. And then they stop eating. So, you know, we say there's nothing wrong with 24/7 availability of feed for heritage heritage turkeys and or chickens. On an industrialized, even our turkeys, but chickens as well, they'll eat, and part of the way you stretch out that growth of those industrial birds is don't let them eat as much. Okay, so you have to make the decision there. Will you feed purchase feed or produce your own? R.B. Usry says this in his section on feed. Why should artificially highly processed feeds be any better for chickens than artificially high processed foods are for us? Ooh. Good question, huh? So remember, feed age appropriate feed. And I like the crumble. I think it's a little bit more natural for the bird. Some of you would say, you know, let's go with a pellet. And that's strictly my opinion. That's not Jim Adkins' Bible. That's just, crumble is just my recommendation. Now, I did put there, chickens, day-old chicks need a minimum of 20% protein. Laying hens need a minimum of 15% protein. Adult breeding chickens, a minimum of about 20% protein. Turkeys, day-old, now I want you to scroll, what I want you to see is the difference of day-old poults, 24% protein. Growing turkeys, a minimum of 22%. Adult breeding turkeys, a minimum of 24% in protein. Okay?